Nathan Ellingsworth here for GamerGuides.com, and today we're going over some of the best skills to equip early in Metaphor ReFantazio. In the early portions of Metaphor ReFantazio, you will unlock the ability to inherit skills from another archetype, at the cost of some mag. Of course, the number of skills you can inherit is directly related to the rank of your followers' bonds. You can only get a maximum of 4 inheritance slots, so you won't be able to do a whole lot in the beginning portions of the game. So in this video we're detailing some essential skills you should learn early in your Metaphor ReFantazio playthrough. Medi. One of the most important things you will need in any RPG is the ability to heal. While you have items and the die spell from the Seeker, it can only cover so much. That's where the healer archetype comes into play, as they learn a party-wide healing spell relatively early into leveling them up. Of course, it costs 10 MP to cast the skill, so it isn't without its downsides, but there's a good chance you'll be using this for a good portion of the game. Patra. The healer comes through with another great skill which doesn't take much longer to grab after Medi. You will run into a lot of situations where an enemy will place a status ailment on someone in your party. Naturally, you can use an item to cure that ailment, but you will need to purchase those items, then have to go digging through the inventory to find it. That's where Patra comes into play, as it heals all status ailments, so it's a one-stop shop for anything nasty thrown your way, but it only hits a single target. Gold attack. There's little doubt that the merchant archetype is extremely powerful, especially in the early stages of the game. You unlock this class by establishing the bond with Brigitta, which will involve completing the Belega Corridor dungeon. With the merchant unlocked, gold attack will be the initial skill you have, so you won't even need to do anything to learn it. This skill deals physical almighty damage to a single target with a high chance of it delivering a critical hit. Sure, it will use up 500 reaves every time you use it, but the merchant class is great at earning money too. Lucky Find. One of the better passive skills in the game will come from the merchant class, with it unlocking by simply getting it to rank 2. Lucky Find improves the drop rate of items from enemies by 20%, which means that you should be getting items a lot more often. Note that this works for both squad battles and when defeating enemies on the field. While maybe not as important to survival when doing normal battles, once you start getting a few more extra skill slots, this should become a staple. Knight's Proclamation. The first skill of the Knight archetype, Knight's Proclamation is essentially a taunt that you can use to draw attention to a strong defensive character. The best thing about this skill is when you know what attacks an enemy is using, as you can switch archetypes to one that will resist that damage type. Combine this with the skill to draw the enemy's attention to the character with Knight's Proclamation. It might be a bit more situational than the other skills on this list, but it's still a great one to have. First Aid. Another important skill that comes from the Knight archetype is the First Aid skill. At first glance, you might be thinking it's not that good, since it's a healing skill you can only use outside of battle. However, once you start getting skills and items that recover your MP, it becomes extremely useful. It's the same power as something like Die, but it costs half the MP to use it. You're able to learn this skill once you get Knight to rank 5. Steal. Thievery in RPGs is always a good thing to do, although not every single instance will prove useful. The Steal skill in Metaphor is extremely good though, as you can get a lot of nice equipment for free from the enemies you're going to be fighting. You get Steal from reaching rank 2 of the Thief archetype, so it's not going to take long to unlock it. Remember that Steal only nabs the items from the rare slot on enemies, so if there is nothing listed there, then there is no reason to use it. It's also affected by agility, so the character who unlocks the Thief class is ideal to use it all the time. Perfect Punch. A lot of skills and abilities will use MP, which is a precious resource as you fight enemies and go through dungeons. Perfect Punch, the first skill available to the Brawler archetype, gets around this by using your HP instead as the resource. Even better, the less HP you have, the stronger this skill is. You will want this on someone like Stroll, as he tends to be the biggest physical attacker of the group. That's just about everything we have for skills in Metaphor ReFantazio for today, but for more great guides be sure to check out GamerGuides.com and the links in the description. Thanks for watching and see you next time.